Hello, valued viewers, and welcome back to the Reapers. I hope you're all doing wonderfully well. This is Gruntmeister, and today we're taking a look at Cubesim's newest product, the Square Touch Monitor Minis. Aw, look at how cute they are. Did you want more screens to put up digital gauges in DCS?
Because this is how you get monitors for digital gauges.
Full disclosure, Cubesim sent me a pair of these monitors with the card and joints free of charge. However, they requested I perform an honest and unbiased review, and I shall do that. So with that, we're going to go over what will be shipped to you, setup options, a quick feature showcase, and pros and cons. With that, let's get started. Hey, look! Cubesim was nice enough to put Fragile all over the box, as if shipping services cared about that. This shipment took roughly 2 weeks to ship from China to the Southeast United States. EU times may vary. Part of my reviews is always to examine what steps the manufacturer took to protect their products while in transit. Here we can see the outer box held 2 additional boxes. Boxception! With bubble wrap keeping them in place. The interior boxes are what actually hold the product, and these look to be in great shape. Not seeing any dimples or crumpled corners, so good job, Cubesim. Opening up these 2 smaller boxes reveals another box. Boxception! Okay. Inside this are some form-fitting foam sheets to provide more shock absorption, and everything looks to be properly separated to prevent damage. Double good job, Cubesim. So now onto what is shipped. Front and center, the 4-inch Square Touch monitor. It's fairly lightweight with a molded plastic backing. I wouldn't recommend dropping it, of course, because it is a sensitive piece of equipment. Underneath that is bubble wrap to separate the pieces. Moving on, you'll find the adjustment key, a bare bones monitor controller, take that how you will, a 58-inch or 147cm USB 2.0 to USB-C Edge power cable, pretty neat honestly, but odd measurements, and last but not least, the complimentary stand that comes with every purchase. If you opted to buy the card and joint, it will be here alongside the screen box. Lastly, an adhesive RWR overlay to place on the screens if you purchased it. Honestly, the most difficult part of the setup is attempting to use the card and joints when you have no understanding of different aluminum gauges. I'm using some old mounts that seem to be in 1020 aluminum extrusion. If you have 4040 or 4080 aluminum extrusions, aka Monster Tech, you should have no issues mounting the screens on the joints. Otherwise, you can just use the stands that are included. That's a simple case of using the included hex key to screw the stand into the back of the monitors. Connect the monitor controls, and then connect the monitors in via USB. As for me, I Frankenstein a lot of what I do, so I found a screw hole, giggity, to attach a card and joint to and made that work. The other screen, I used some 3M tape to stick to a surface. I'll end up rearranging this in the future. So the hardware is now ready to go. This next bit requires reaching out to Cubesim to get the Lua files you need so that DCS can output the different instruments. Essentially, these are the custom-tailored Lua files that changes the DCS resolution and offsets the screen in such a way that the simulator and gauge emulations can be accommodated and placed on the screens. Just follow the instructions included with your Luas and you should be good to go. In my case, I just have to be special. I don't use all of my 49-inch screen for DCS when I fly, which means my desired resolution doesn't exist in vanilla DCS configurations. In this case, that can be changed by going into your saved games DCS folder, going to config, and opening options.lua in Notepad or preferably Notepad++. Under the graphics section, you're looking for height and width. Change those to the dimensions you need. I figured I'd add this bit in here since I found it a bit difficult to find this information myself. The more you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
So it's just a square. How do they do it? Well, according to Cubesim, this isn't just another monitor configured through Raspberry Pi. Nope. Instead, it's tied to a custom configured DisplayLink graphics card neatly packed away behind a plastic casing. So that means no messing around with the screens just to get the output you want. Nice. Okay, so what are they actually for, Grump, you might ask?
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
Well, it's a neat little addition to the SimPit to display digital gauges. Hence is why you can opt to add the RWR cover to the screen for an additional $5. Personally, I like to use the screens for more than just RWR, so I actually took this back off soon after. Neat bit of immersion though. Effectively, if DCS can repeat a gauge in an output, then it can go on the screens. F16's RWR and HSI? Yup. The MFDs? Yup. The Apache's TADs? Hell yes. The F14's HSD and VDI can even be set up to go here. Here's something else that's pretty neat. You still have these displays even when you go into external view modes like F2, F3, and F5. Just request Cubesim to set up what gauges you want. If you're more code savvy, you can begin to do that yourself. Just be sure to save a copy of the original version so you don't permanently wreck your display. So, I don't play racing sims, but they will work in racing sims so long as it allows for gauges to have an external output. If you play games like Forza Horizon 5 or Euro Truck Simulator 2, reach out to Cubesim and get the corresponding Lua files and setup instructions. Like I touched on before, the plug and play of the hardware is very nice. Imagine having to mess with DVI, VGA, HDMI, DisplayPort, whatever, just to get a picture out. On top of that, needing the coding experience or the know-how to set up a screen off of Amazon with Raspberry Pi. I don't know a thing about Raspberry Pi, so I wouldn't be able to do any of this myself. Each screen has its own dedicated graphics card. All it needs is output data from the PC and it becomes a new screen in your display settings. How neat is that? Now just look at how crisp the resolution is. A 4-inch monitor with 720 by 720 resolution means mind-blowing crispness. Just don't smudge the screens and everything will look real fresh. Isn't that beautiful? As well as that, the response time is milliseconds. Enough to notice if you're specifically looking for it, but in the heat of battle, I didn't notice it. It responded how I needed it to in order to accomplish the mission. Did I mention these are touch screens? They actually do respond to touches. It only moves the cursor on your primary display, but that has potential uses if you play in a full screen environment. If you're using these minis in conjunction with an existing screen repeater system via Helios, it will work with your existing setup. No conflicts with an existing SimPit setup? Very nice. As for the cons, if you want the screens to go between, say, RWR HSI combo to dual MFDs, you'll need to select the correct screen configuration in the graphics menu before jumping into a mission. It's a bit of an inconvenience, but that seems to be a limitation of DCS, I'm afraid. As a baseline, this setup is plug and play. However, there is so much more potential with these screens. Not just for RWR or HSI, but as a cheaper alternative to an MFD screen. If you want to accomplish some of these feats, you either have to request it through Cubesim or have some scripting know-how of your own. Now, I could usually edit Luas myself, but I certainly couldn't write them from scratch. So this one is quite a bit of a gripe. It looks like there's a big discrepancy in screen brightness. To make the in-sim screens dark enough to actually see, then you can't see what's on the smaller screens. Making them blindingly bright in the cockpit will yield acceptable brightness on the screens. This is after increasing the screen's backlights to 100% and maxing out the contrast. This is the best it gets, unfortunately. I do hope Cubesim can find a solution to this issue. In the meantime, you would have to be happy with either seeing what's on the smaller screens or what's in your in-sim cockpit. So I'd say this is neither a pro nor a con, but I'd agree that $100 per screen is a fair market price for what you get. If you want to add the RWR cover and the cardan joints, it's $115 total. Either way, these screens come ready to go, and you don't have to deal with the hassle of making them work for Cubesim. So I keep mentioning reaching out to Cubesim. If you purchase any of their screens, they will tell you what they told me. Lifetime support. Oh, neat. Yup, so long as you have their products, they will get you the luas you need to keep them going. Be sure to check out their website for support and contact them at cubesim.com.cn. That's cubesim.com.cn. There will be a link in the description. Okay, so what are my thoughts on the Square Touch Monitor Minis? Well, they're cute. They have versatile utility, and they're touchscreen. Honestly, this may be my first step in getting actual screens for my MFDs. Cubesim does sell those too, by the way. For an extra $60 per screen, you can get the bigger brothers, and they even have additional products to have a fully functioning MFD. I describe this as baby's first repeater screen for DCS, or a commercially available option for those who are building a full sim pit and don't want the hassle of coding their digital gauges. Definitely worth a consideration in my opinion. This is Grumpmeister, and I hope I've made it easier to determine if Cubesim Square Touch Monitor Minis are your next purchase. Fly dangerously.
67, you're clear to conduct air with like AR 625, maintain flight level 190 until cleared higher by the tanker. Appreciate your route.